the AL East, another fascinating division. Start with the Tampa Bay Rays. They get Aaron Savali. Okay, that was a pretty good move for them. That cost them a pretty good prospect, a really good prospect, actually. Kyle Manzardo, a hitter, first baseman. But the Rays had to do something with their rotation the way it has been, with the injuries, everything going on, and they did. The Orioles, interesting move here. Now, Jack Flaherty, yes, they got the starter that they needed, but I've been talking about this for weeks, and we've all really looked at them as a team to watch. With the system that they have, with the position that they're in, best record in the American League, could they have done more? Could they have taken some of those duplications that they have in their farm system and really gone after it? Well, maybe if Snell and Hader had been available, they would have done that. But for rentals, they weren't going to do that. And the controllable pitchers, they weren't the only team that passed. Because as I said, none of the big ones really got moved. One thing about the Orioles that maybe they should have done, and someone pointed this out to me last night, someone in the industry. How is it that the Orioles didn't get Keenan Middleton for their bullpen and the Yankees did? How is that happening? Now, the Orioles did acquire Shintaro Fujinami from the A's about, a week or so ago. But they needed more help in the bullpen and really could have gotten it. So that's the Orioles. Then we have the Blue Jays. Their two moves were essentially in reaction to injuries. Jordan Hicks to replace Jordan Romano, and Paul DeJong not to replace Bo Bichette, who thankfully is not hurt seriously, but they needed insurance once he injured his knee on Monday night. The Blue Jays did not get the right-handed hitter that they were looking for, but as I said, really at the top, we're talking about Candelario, Mark Canha, Tommy Pham. It's not a great group. Cody Bellinger did not get moved. He's a left-handed hitter, but he would have been the best one out there. And then there were the Yankees and Red Sox. Let's start with the Red Sox. There was all this talk about them adding a starting pitcher, getting an infielder, which they did with Luis Urias from the Brewers. But that was all they did. Now, in some respects, I like this. They didn't trade James Paxton. They didn't trade Adam Duvall. They didn't embark upon this ill-conceived buy-sell strategy that they chose last year that just backfired on them. They kind of showed faith in this team. Didn't really want to disrupt what they believe is an emerging core of players. I get all this. And they know they've got four big pieces coming back. Chris Sale, Tanner Houck, Garrett Whitlock, and Trevor Story. The question some Red Sox fans have is, hey, is that enough? These are the Boston Red Sox. Why didn't we add a little bit more? Why didn't we get a starting pitcher? These are fair questions. And Chaim Bloom at the deadline has not necessarily distinguished himself, but I liked what he did this year better than what he did last year because he didn't break up the team. He didn't subtract any pieces. He didn't add enough, perhaps. Yeah, I think I can buy that argument. But at least the Red Sox are the Red Sox. They've got a real shot here to get into the postseason, particularly if their injured pitchers come back and are effective. And then finally, the New York Yankees. What stunned me the most about the Yankees, and I wrote about this today in the Athletics Daily newsletter, The Windup. The Yankees come to the deadline with one of the two highest payrolls in the sport, second only to the Mets. They come to the deadline, and it's crazy to me that they had really nowhere to go. Couldn't be buyers because they haven't played well enough to justify trading prospects, to justify adding payroll. They've already spent $275 million. And they couldn't be sellers because they're kind of in it, sort of, that they haven't played well. And more importantly, they don't have tradable assets. Most of their assets are underwater. So the Yankees really didn't do much. They added Keenan Middleton, quality reliever, to the best bullpen in the American League. Something they've done really well with their bullpen. They've assembled guys, developed them, done great. And they added Spencer Howard, who is a failed prospect. He's getting his third organization, I believe, now. We'll see how he does. The New York Yankees at the deadline. That's all there was, folks. Now, last year, you might remember, they bought and they had a lot of bad luck with injuries. Montas and Benintendi and Efros and all the things that happened. Lou Trevino. Didn't work out well for them. Harrison Bader did work out well, but he's been hurt a lot too. So, all right, you couldn't do that, but you couldn't sell either, and you were kind of stuck. The New York Yankees should never be stuck. And this is the most damning thing you can say about where they are right now, that they basically were paralyzed at the deadline. Kind of a stunning conclusion to this deadline for the Yankees.